Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've done any reviews, and I gotta check my markers to see where my. All right, there we are. We're good. I have little magic dice out here. I don't play Magic anymore, but little counter dice here to show me where the frame is. So, we're gonna look at Adam Reck today. I have a stack of books to review. I've been wanting to do reviews for quite some time, so I'm amped about this one in particular because this is the book that finally made me say, I need to do reviews. And that was November of 2018, so it took me more than a year to start doing reviews, but I had just had surgery on my left foot and was going to have surgery on the right foot a month later. And so during my that's surgery's on a Friday. So during my recovery, like Saturday night, I started reading comics to catch up on my gigantic stack of Alterna and other comics that I was behind on. Well, now I have a bigger stack of comics I'm behind on, and I've stopped buying like a bunch of comics too. But Adam Reck was the comic that made me say, this is so good, I really want to start reviewing comics. I know other people do it too, and there are tons of people. So this is written by Michael Bracco, I think that is, or no, I'm sorry, Bracco, Bracco. He did some other work, and it was put out by Alterna. Look at that. So early Alterna stuff. I got a hold of this after some bad things happened for the guy who runs Alterna, Peter Simeti, and I just said, screw this, I'm going to support him, and I ended up with this awesome book in my hand, among others. Peter, he appreciates the support, but really his books are so affordable. You can basically just get everything every month. I do everything 2 months at a time, but definitely pre-order so he has a better idea of how much to order. And now we're going to dive into this. So Adam is right here, and we're brought into the story with sort of a flash forward. He introduces himself, he's narrating, I'm in big trouble. And sorry, Michaelis Bracco, if I'm saying your name incorrectly. But anyway, he's crash landing on a planet, and he's looking at, he can breathe, but he's otherwise in trouble because he's isolated and whatnot. And then he says, well, let's start over. Where did this come from? And so we get to, did you notice Alterna actually has other people advertising in their books? So that's good for a company. When your only ads are for your company alone, like they're only like this one and not like these other things, that's bad, Marvel. Anyway, so we go back to he was traveling with his parents, and they get as far away from Earth as Earth can see. So their best telescopes can't reach this far. And see right down there, that little gray spot is actually another ship, if you can see it. And they are immediately met with space pirates who take them prisoner, but in the midst of being taken prisoner and whatnot, they realize that they haven't seen Adam yet. The parents realize that the pirates have not seen Adam yet, so they send Adam off in a life pod, etc. Right down here. And that's where the crash landing comes from. So Adam is off on his adventure now. He's been pushed into adventure. I'm just flipping real quick. We'll skip a couple pages, but something happens. He finds this or that. And this little thing, the Trillion crystal, it's a MacGuffin, meaning all the characters care about it more than we do. So, but it is a physical object that's part of the plot moving it forward. He has some communication with his parents regarding the pirates, whom they're fighting off, and eventually, of course, that all gets things happen where Adam gets into trouble, and as he's getting into trouble with this giant creature, he is saved by a rogue character named, I don't want to get my names crossed. Lipos is the name of the pirate. This is, I think, Crispin. I just looked it up. I'm so terrible with the names, but I read this book 2 years ago, so I looked up the names before I started doing this. Anyway, Vorik, not Crispin. What am I thinking? Vorik, V-O-R-I-C. So Captain Vorik here is calls Adam Squirt all the time, things like that. He's a rogue character. You're not supposed to know his background much. He works independently for the most part. In other words, he's Han Solo, for people who don't know what a rogue is. That's what Han Solo is supposed to be, and was up until a certain point in time. You don't know how dangerous he is. He could be dangerous, or if he's going to be good or bad. Han shot first, okay? The original cut of Star Wars was important for that because it made what the rogue character what it was. And a quick hat tip to Professor Geek and Fan Man for my education on a lot of that archetype stuff. So archetypes don't always have to be like the Jungian classical archetypes or whatnot. But we do get through our adventure where eventually in and out of trouble, dealing with the other pirates and whatnot. This Captain Vorik is separate from the space pirates we saw before. Uh, Adam goes through a growing phase and does get captured by the space pirates and put in with his parents, and Vorik has to rescue them, or chooses to rescue them, just like Han Solo came back from. I'm making too many Star Wars references, but anyway, he chooses to rescue them. He has a moral center, and we'll get more about his moral center in a minute. And then, of course, the story continues from there. And at the end of it all, when everything's over, Adam is asking his parents, "So, Mom, Dad, what now?" And they do not look happy, which is hilarious to me. I've gotten that look from Mom and Dad before. So there we are. And what's really nice about this book at the end was it has a backup story about Vorik and Bot. And so we get to see more of his character. Now, very cute for this is the backup story it ends with him looking at the Trillion Crystal, which is part of the big story we just read in 3 issues. So it's nice that this is one leads right to the other. But really, this story was great because we get to learn about the character, but he doesn't stop being a rogue, which is supposed to have no origin, fully independent or whatnot. And we actually get to see him have a change of heart. We learn more about the character and what his moral centering is, but it doesn't destroy his rogue nature, even though we know that he has a moral center, where some people might argue about if that's really a rogue or not. Anyway, so this is all very enjoyable to read, and I was totally happy about it after my foot surgery. No, it was not the drugs talking. Anyway, I got a funny story about that, but maybe another time. It wasn't the drugs talking, and I realized after I put it down that this was the hero's journey. And everybody said, "Oh, the hero's journey is way overdone," or this or that, the other. Look, people don't realize that the hero's journey wasn't something somebody prescribed thousands of years ago and then everybody adhered to it. It's the better stories that people enjoyed more or resonated or had more to say about life and how to live it, or what we, if not how to live it, what we commonly observe about life, like the Greek myths would do. That men generally run this way, so those things were attributed to Zeus, and women tend to emotionally react this way, so those things were attributed to Hera. It's that kind of thing. That's where the hero's journey became. All the stories that were more popular and survived, well, not all, the majority of the surviving stories had the hero's journey or something like it, and it's a very loose framework. And then some of the surviving ones actually, they don't have that, but they survived anyway. There's always a trash element. And then finally some people noticed this pattern and described it, and that's where we get the description of hero's journey from several people, not just Joseph Campbell. But this was really enjoyable, and I had no idea until afterwards that I was reading the hero's journey. So it's very well written. All the characters have their own voices. You don't necessarily know what's happening from one moment to the next in terms of predictability, even though I've showed you the last pages of each story. You know the good guys win in the end, but it's how do they get there? That's what matters. And so I looked up this guy, Michael Bracco, and he has other books that I had to get from Etsy and wherever else, and I don't think you can get them on Alterna anymore. But this is Novo is a completely different book altogether. It's a mythological cycle. Somehow it feels, but isn't precisely, like the end of Volume 5 feeds back into Volume 1. These are a very loose read. Notice that it's about manga-sized, manga-sized. I usually say manga, now I'm saying manga, whatever. It's about manga-sized, where you get about so many panels, because the book's a little bit smaller format. But it reads the normal direction. So anyway, this was a totally different book. It's very heavy reading, or at least it felt heavy at the time. No, that's not the drugs talking at the time. So I did look into him. He's got other projects. He has 2 other projects out there, in fact, which I have the beginning of. One was called The Creators, where what people draw comes to life, and one's called Monuments. I kind of don't remember what this one's about. So I looked into him. He's actually a very friendly dude. It's hard to get those books anymore, and this one is out of print. But I did want to. There was a graphic novel of this, or a trade paperback, but I think it's gone too. So sorry to show you a book that you can't get a copy of. Try if you will. Try to get a copy of it. It's great. But this is what got me started on doing reviews. It really, really touched me. Let's see. Oh, I'm under 10 minutes still. My little timer thing is still under 10. Cool. So Michael does a great job. Oh, and Peter Samedi, he's really good at putting books together and picking them. So please go look up Alterna Comics, see what he's got going on now. I guess that's the one shill for this review because I can't tell you where to go get the book. Thank you, Peter Samedi, for providing me with these. These were great. And I just bought them like a regular customer. So as far as buying from him every 2 months, pre-ordering, he has his pre-orders up at times, and then he'll get like another. When things were normal before 2020, he'd have 2 months worth of pre-orderable things at a time, and so every 2 months I'd buy one of those just to make fewer shipments. So I'm not getting like a shipment every month, which gets expensive. So just to consolidate things, if you know what I mean. So he's a good guy. He tries to put out good books, and I'm sure he'd appreciate hearing from you. Thanks a bunch.